Wright, Ben Brown and Ashar Zaidi all added tons to the one made by Chris Nash on day one of the LV County Championship match between Warwickshire and Sussex in Edgbaston, as the visitors battered themselves into a very strong position on day two. They were halfway to doing that as the second morning began, with Sussex on 280 for 3 and Wright, who resumed his innings on 43, was soon at a 50 off 130 balls. He was soon off and running, looking to increase the scoring rate in a race for as many batting bonus points as possible. 3 were on the board for the batting team when Wright whipped a delivery from Ricky Clark over the rope for a rather effortless 6. Nash had started his day with 112 runs already under his belt, but he was unable to recreate his form from the previous day. He'd had a moment of luck there, but was stumped off Jitan Patel to go for 121 after adding 166 runs for the fourth wicket with Wright, who was by now into the 80s. He was now joined at the crease by Brown, who was soon another to enjoy this pitch, one which has recently been used for a couple of T20 matches. Because of that, it was supposed to be a good one for the spinners, but they were faring no better than the pacemen. Wright produced one of the best ever T20 knocks last Friday in Bristol, and his form was maintained here as he closed in on a second 100 in 2 innings. This boundary took him up to 99, even though his side failed to register a fourth batting bonus point by just a couple of runs. This couple was what Wright needed to record the 15th 100 of his first-class career. It was an innings that backed up the one from Nash perfectly, using up 189 deliveries, from which the 30-year-old struck 12 fours and 1 6. It was hard work for the Warwickshire bowlers, who were finding very little to help them from this pitch. They must have been fearing the worst when Wright started to produce shots like this one. Then some luck for Patel, the ball coming out of Wright's pad before running down onto the stumps. He had to go for 110 at 380 for 5. The dismissal is worth looking at again in slow motion to see just how unfortunate the batsman was. So, was that the turning point for Warwickshire? The answer to that was firmly no. Brown was another who was seeing the ball well, and he was also another to take full advantage of the conditions. This was certainly a very good batting day. Just ask Zaidi. The 33-year-old has made some decent contributions with the bat before in Sussex colours, but this was just the start of what was to become the Pakistanis' best ever innings in county cricket. He was occasionally offered a gift from Josh Poisden, but there were also plenty of excellent shots included too. Brown became the fourth of 6 batsmen in this innings to get to at least a 50, the keepers coming off 72 deliveries from which he struck 4 fours. By now, Warwickshire had been out in the field for 133 overs, and there was no sign of a declaration to come just yet. So the attack did start to look a little jaded. Full bungers and wide deliveries were punished by Zaidi, who must have started to think that this may just be his day. He now had his side beyond 450, this from a team which has really struggled for runs for much of this summer. This single took Zaidi to his 50 off 80 balls. He'd struck 7 fours in that and now looked to go on for as long as he could. His previous best score in county cricket of 88 made on Northampton last year was to be beaten a little later. Little went Warwickshire's way as they were asked to bowl over after over after over, they having something done to them that they've been doing to so many other teams over the last few years, and that's batting on to try to grind the opposition down. The rush was now on to see which of these 2 batsmen would get to 3 figures first. There was almost an inevitability that they both would. Zaidi had got on to a county best of 93 when Brown clipped Poisden, now into his 40th over of leg spin, for his 8th 4 to bring up his 100 off 138 balls. That meant that numbers 4, 5 and 6 in the batting order all had a 3-figure score next to their names. And after Zaidi had smashed this long hop from Laurie Evans to the fence for his 12th boundary, the number 7 also had 100. It was only the 3rd time in Sussex's history that 4 players have hit tons in the same innings. This was the 12th first-class ton of Zaidi's career, the others all being made for one team or another in Islamabad. His first in this country had occupied 142 deliveries, and it was an innings he was clearly very excited by. Why not? With that done, he started to play all sorts of shots as his partnership with Brown reached 191. It was ended there when Zaidi was stumped off a wide from Evans, who had just the second first-class wicket of his career and his first for Warwickshire. The batsman left with his side on 571 for 6. And on Sussex went, Brown adding this 6 off Atiq Javid, while Ollie Robinson quickly hit 19 runs to bring up the 600 for his team in the 164th over, the first time Sussex have achieved that against this opposition. At that moment, Ed Joyce showed some mercy and called his batsman in, Brown ending unbeaten on 119. Warwickshire had been in the field for more than 5 sessions, and so there was something inevitable about the loss of 2 early wickets in their reply. Varun Chopra nicked off to Steve McGoffin, who then had Javid fishing to offer Wright a catch in the slips, which left Warwickshire on 14 for 2. Ian Westwood was back from an injury sustained in his side's very narrow defeat to Sussex in Hove, and he stuck it out for an hour and a half in making his 20 runs. But 10 minutes before the close, he was leg before to a ball which spun a lot from Luke Wells. That wicket will certainly encourage the visitors, who will expect much more turn for Wells and Sussex debutant Peter Burgoyne, the former Derbyshire bowler. Warwickshire will resume on the third morning on 62 for 3, a massive 539 runs behind.